What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Allen, and this is the Movie Minute. This episode of the Movie Minute, we are talking about Craig Gillespie's new film, Dumb Money, based on the GameStop short squeeze that we were all very familiar with a couple years back. It's kind of crazy that they made a movie about this already, but I'm glad they did. So, if you want to hear my thoughts, stick around. Let's get into it. Dumb Money. I mean, we all heard about this. It was all over the news, mid-pandemic, not a lot going on, which is partly why this story probably really took off. And, Roaring Kitty and Deep Effing Value. I mean, just what really happened with this and the hedge funds, Melvin Capital, Citadel, Robinhood. Dumb Money refers basically to retail investors, and it's what Wall Street calls retail investors, and that's kind of the namesake of the film, and really the namesake of like Keith Gill, who was Roaring Kitty, this guy who realized that Wall Street was betting against GameStop succeeding, and so he kind of through Reddit and through a grassroots movement basically took Wall Street to town. And it was all about really the little guy becoming wealthy, the Joe Schmo, and taking from kind of these hedge fund guys that bet on companies losing and then profiting from those losses. Let's jump in and talk about what I liked about the movie. First off, the cast was absolutely stacked. I mean, you have Keith Gill, who was played by Paul Dano. Then you have his wife, Shailene Woodley. Then you have all the hedge fund guys like Nick Offerman, Vincent D'Onofrio. You've got Seth Rogan. I mean, and then all of these kind of supporting characters. You got Anthony Ramos. You got Sebastian Stan playing the Robinhood CEO. I mean, it is just name after name after name. Great performances across the board. And I will also say, another thing that this film really captured was the style of the original content. And I can get into that a little bit deeper in terms of this film is really based on these Reddit communities, Wall Street Bets, and these kind of guys, these retail investors who literally sometimes just did not care. And this quote became famous in real life called, "I just like the stock."
I like the stock.
There's no reason to be keeping the stock, but they just like it, and they're a little bit hard-headed and stubborn. It's all about taking it to the man and not necessarily making money. And I really thought they captured that essence of taking it to the man, taking it to Wall Street. And they did that in a lot of different ways. I mean, the dialogue was very, very sharp, very crass. Just warning you, I mean, this rated R movie, not a family movie, very crass language, but fitting of the style and telling the story from the perspective of these kind of retail investors. I was completely intrigued the whole movie. I mean, that's the overall strength, is when you are doing a based on a true story type movie, it's really important to have good pacing and to take the things from the real story that really matter and do it justice and allow the audience to kind of lean in and feel like they're part of that story. And this film does that really, really well. There were a couple things that I didn't like, and it's really mostly just opinion and personal feelings about stuff. And so I'm not going to spend too long on them, but I will mention them. I think first off, even though I thought that the style and the pacing were great, I thought they actually didn't spend enough time with Keith Gill. He's really the point person of the whole story. And I get it, they were trying to, I think, expand it to it wasn't just about him, it was about what he started, which makes sense, but we just moved away from him too often where I wanted to see his story develop more. His character arc isn't that strong. At the end of the day, there was just too many side characters that pulled away from Keith Gill's story. I think the other thing that I just didn't like, that I kind of mentioned in the style, but it was very, very crass. And it's hard for me sometimes. I think it was a little bit sometimes unnecessarily crass, where it's we didn't need to see that thing or hear that thing said that was said very often. And I just thought, maybe it could have been a little less. It wasn't the end of the world. It just was something that I personally was like, I don't like it when movies curse that much, but to each his own. The last thing that I didn't love about the movie is they didn't focus enough on the actual details of the short squeeze event. And I get that. I know that they were trying to lean into character stuff, but I think that they needed to explain a little bit more concisely what was happening from like a detail standpoint. Like the audience needs to understand why it's happening. You can do that with a couple strategically placed lines, and they just didn't do it. All right, so let's talk about ratings. The film was extremely entertaining. So from an entertainment rating standpoint, I would give this an 8 out of 10. It was very, very entertaining. I really enjoyed it. From a critical standpoint, this is an amazing movie. 9 out of 10 for me from critics rating. So averaged out 8.5 out of 10 for Dumb Money. Very, very good. I think worth a theater viewing. It's nice. I got into it a week early, and I was really glad that I was able to do that. More reviews are coming from other movies that I was gonna review this weekend, but I took the opportunity to go and see this early. For this film, I'm actually gonna give this film the Oscar bait because I definitely think this film is going to get some buzz around award season. It's really good, it's well executed, and I definitely think we're gonna be seeing some performance nominated Oscars and Golden Globes for this film. Do me a huge favor, like this video, would love for you to subscribe, become part of this great community, and until next time, peace out, guys.